Hi, I'm Kerry. I'm the host of Best of Us Investors, long-term investors. We have a tribe. We share information with each other. And I wanted to share this with you. Are you aware that in August 2008, Amazon lost 56% of its value between August and November of '08? Went from $87 to $38 a share. Are you aware of that? If you had bought that at $38 a share after it dropped for 3 months, within the next 5 years, you'd have a 10x. Today, you'd have an 81x. So in other words, if you had invested $10,000, you'd be almost a millionaire today. Been a little bit of a time. My point is, and why I'm bringing this up, is it's happened again. It's happened again. There's an opportunity that I've been beating the drum for the last 6 months that some of you haven't paid any attention to. It's about Crispr. It's about a revolution in our healthcare. It has been around since 2000, but actually it was in the 1990s, but nobody paid any attention to it. It was a dream. And then in March of 2020, we had the coronavirus, and it came to the forefront. And it is going to do a repeat, I believe, and I want to substantiate that in this video. Because in essence, what's happening is the world is waking up to CRISPR. And I want to take you through it so that you can make this 81x return on a number of stocks that I've recognized all the way back in the latter part of last year, November, and started building my position. And like that of Amazon, I've taken a beating. I've lost 50% of their value in some of them over that 4-month period of time. And it's a repeat of history. It just goes to show you that the analysts who say it's overvalued, that's what they said about Amazon. They're not making any profit. That's what they said about Amazon in '08. Look where it's at now. It's happening again, and this is your opportunity. Stay with me. This is going to be fun. And stay to the end of the video because I'm going to share with you why it's just now going public and how you can benefit with it. Watch this. It's going to tell you I'm not your financial advisor.
Best of Us Investors presents Kerry Griegmeyer.
Okay, as I said, CRISPR's been around for a long time, and the world is just waking up to it. The first notice of it is in the Wall Street Journal. And you got to recognize how many of you subscribe to the Wall Street Journal and you're involved in the stock market. When the Wall Street Journal puts something out there, a very small percentage of the population pays any attention to it. The Wall Street Journal in December of 2000 ran an article saying that gene editing shows promise in sickle cell disease. Nobody paid much attention. Then they came out on February 19th and said that headline was, "What Gene Editing Can Do for the Future of Humankind." That was February 19th, 2021. Did you read that article? Did you pay attention to it? Did you invest in CRISPR? And then they came out on May 5th, 2020, CRISPR's Next Frontier, treating common conditions. Did you buy it then? Well, then what I thought was interesting is, as I said, I've been buying these stocks. I bought them starting in November of 2020. Just the other day, my wife, we meet with this couple every Sunday, and we talk about things, and their eyes glass over when I start talking about CRISPR. Well, a friend of Nita's, this lady, called Nita yesterday and said, I just heard a piece on NPR about what Carrie's been talking about, CRISPR, and how it's saving lives. Well, understand if the audience for Wall Street Journal is this big, then the audience for NPR is this big. It's also been on 60 Minutes. That audience might be this big, but we're still nowhere near the audience of the general public, and the general public it includes the investment community. They aren't aware of it, but I want you to listen to this audio. It's about 4 minutes, so bear with it. I think it's going to open your eyes to the world is waking up to this, much as the world woke up to the internet, much as the world woke up to Amazon and Google. But it was only a small part of the population who early on figured it out. I want you to figure it out. Listen to this.
There's big news today about the revolutionary gene editing technique called CRISPR. For the first time, doctors have used CRISPR to help patients simply by infusing it into their bloodstreams. NPR health correspondent Rob Stein joins us now to talk about the details. Hey, Rob.
Hey there, Sarah.
Okay, so first of all, if you would, remind us what CRISPR is exactly and how it's been used to try to cure diseases.
Yeah, so CRISPR allows scientists to make very precise changes in DNA much more easily than ever before. So doctors think it could be used to treat lots of different diseases. In fact, doctors have already started using it to help patients suffering from devastating blood disorders like sickle cell disease and beta thalassemia, and have started trying to use it to treat a wide variety of cancers, even to restore vision to people blinded by a rare genetic disorder. But until now, scientists have had to take cells out of the body, edit them in their labs, and then infuse the edited cells back into patients' bodies, or inject it directly into the cells they're trying to edit. The big news today is that for the first time, they've just infused CRISPR into the bloodstream, like you said, and let it travel through the body to the cells that need editing on its own. So it's a big step forward.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty impressive step forward. What was the disease that they tried this for?
It's called amyloidosis, and it's a terrible disorder in which malformed proteins build up inside people's bodies, damaging vital tissues and organs like nerves and the heart. Patients often become disabled and eventually die from the damage. I talked about this with Patrick Doherty. He's 65 and lives in Ireland. His dad died from amyloidosis, so have two relatives and people he knows, and about a year and a half ago, he noticed something that really scared him.
The very tips of my fingers were totally numb. There was a continuous tingling, pins and needles in my hands.
And he started then to get short of breath just by trying to walk his dog. Turns out he had amyloidosis, so he volunteered to let doctors test this new way to use CRISPR on him.
Okay, so how did his treatment work exactly?
Doctors infused instructions for the CRISPR gene editor into his bloodstream. It made its way to his liver and honed in on the gene producing the protein that was attacking his body. The CRISPR essentially acted like a kind of a microscopic surgeon, cutting the gene and shutting off the bad protein. And doctors are reporting today that it looks like it was safe for Doherty and 5 other patients and seems to have worked. The bad protein levels just plummeted. Here's Julian Gilmore. He's running the study at the University College London.
It worked incredibly well. It's incredibly exciting. It's doing what we hoped it would do extremely effectively. It's amazing.
And Doherty agrees.
I feel fantastic, and I feel better in terms of, like, I'm speaking to you from upstairs in our house. I climbed stairs to get up and down here. I would have been kind of breathless. It's just phenomenal.
Now, it's important to note that doctors will have to follow Doherty and the 5 other patients who've been treated so far and treat a lot more patients to make sure this is safe and does really help patients. But if it does, it could change their lives and the lives of many other patients.
And what are the ramifications here, Rob? I mean, what Could this approach be used for other diseases?
Yeah. The disease Doherty has is a rare inherited condition. But Dr. Gilmore tells me that the same approach could also help patients struck by a much more common form of the disease that doesn't necessarily just run in families. And beyond that, this is a kind of proof of concept that CRISPR could be used to treat many much more common diseases, including heart disease, muscular dystrophy, and potentially brain diseases like Alzheimer's. So Patrick Doherty's experience could just be the beginning.
Okay, now I want you to go back and look at some of my other videos. On March 10th, I did a video that the title of the video is More Important Than the Internet. It's basically a commentary on this book by Walter Isaacson. This is the Codebreaker. This is about Jennifer Doudna, who is credited with one of the key people in discovering the potential of CRISPR. And it's in this video on March 10th, Walter says, this is bigger than the digital economy. Well, that's enormous. He said that. Then I did a video on April the 14th, the best stocks to buy in 2020. In there, you're going to see a repeat of what Walter said, but you're also going to hear from an Army doctor, Kovan Majad. He's with DARPA. DARPA is the part of the military that basically works on the threats to our world. And they have recognized that one of the biggest threats to our world or our economy is biowarfare. And Dr. Majard will tell you in that video that through the use of CRISPR, they are developing a vaccine that will wipe out all viruses. And it is CRISPR and genome editing that is making that possible. Watch those two videos. And then I want you to understand my investment history relative to this. I own a number of stocks. This all involves, it starts with genome sequencing. It starts with going into our bodies and recognizing the makeup of our genes and recognizing through our environment and our breeding, some of our genes have gotten out of whack and they create diseases that are passed on from generation to generation. And they are gene-oriented diseases. What is a gene-oriented disease? Give you some examples. Heart disease, Alzheimer's, cancer. If you will look at your family history, and you will see that your family pretty much dies of the same thing. Well, with genome sequencing, we can identify that break in the genome so that we know what you're going to die of. Well, that's nice, but what do you do from there? That's where CRISPR comes in. First of all, in genome sequencing, I own Illumina and Pacific Bioscience. I bought those all back in November of last year. Then what comes into the play is CRISPR. This is what you just heard them talk about putting into his bloodstream, and it goes in, and it's a mechanic that goes in and corrects that genome disorder and takes away that disease. That means through CRISPR, it's going to take away the propensity for Alzheimer's, for cancer, for heart disease, for sickle cell anemia, for infantile blindness. That's that part of it. Then the third part of it is the data, because what has to happen now is we need to gather the data to say, okay, Carrie's situation was such and such, based on his genome sequence, based on what we learned through CRISPR, and then compare this to the billions of other people in the world and come up with a medical treatment and a medical procedure that doesn't say, where does it hurt, Carrie? It's much more like my car that says, we have recognized a problem, come to the shop and let us fix it. That's what's going to happen, is through genome sequencing, through CRISPR, and through big data. Our medical delivery system is going to, much as my BMW tells me that we have recognized there's a problem with your model of BMW because we're monitoring every other BMW like yours in the world, and you need to come to the shop so that we can make this correction. That's what's going to happen in healthcare. And that's why you need to own these stocks. Now, are there more than just Illumina, Pacific, CRISPR, Edits, Nutella, Invate, and 23andMe? Yeah, there are a lot more. But how do I know which they are? I know because I read this, but that doesn't give me the total knowledge I need. What I need is about 1 million people looking and saying, hey, I know about this, Carrie, take a look at this. This happened just last week when Gabe, one of our tribe members, called me and said, hey, there's a stock who's involved in a lawsuit with Google, and it could 10x their price. We bought it. This was a week ago. We bought the stock at 3. It's now at 6. That was a week and a half ago. That's what the tribe is all about. That's what I want you to join the tribe, specifically if you know anything about genome sequencing and CRISPR and editing, because we can get ahead of the game. We can find that $2 stock, that $3 stock that's going to turn into a $2,000 stock. We can find the Amazon that was at $38 that's now at $3,000 a share. That's what this is all about. That's what Best of Us Investors is all about. It's not about me. It's not about Carrie. It's about Gabe. It's about Mark. It's about Andrew. It's about putting our minds together to give us an advantage. What you need to realize is you didn't hear anything about the stock that is going to get a huge settlement against Google, because it's a little stock. And Goldman Sachs can't put out that information, because if they do, every one of their customers will buy it and they'll end up owning the company. And there's just too much risk in that. So it's going to depend upon us, the small guy, to go find the small stocks. That's what Best of Us Investors is all about. I want an advantage. My advantage is you. Your advantage is us, the tribe. Go to Best of Us Investors. Give me your name and your email address, and I'll send you an invitation to our Discord. What does it cost to share in this information? Right now, we're charging $10 a month, $120 a year. And you would have been told about the stock that Google is going to have to pay somewhere in the neighborhood of $10 billion, $20 billion in the next several months. You will have learned about the cybersecurity stock that is currently selling at 40, and I believe it's going to 400, because I shared with my tribe before I shared with you. That's the way it works. It's the same thing Goldman Sachs and Dean Witter and JP Morgan does. They share their good information with their big clients before they share it with you. Why would they do that? To give their big clients an advantage. What do they charge for that? God only knows. I think it's somewhere about 20% of whatever they make. That's what hedge funds charge you. If we make so much, we get 20% of it, you get 80. We charge $10 a month. Okay, that's what Best of Us Investors is all about. If you want advantage, come join us. Come join the tribe, and we'll grow together. But remember, this This is going to change the world, and it's going to happen fast because it was on NPR. Next, Oprah will be talking about it. Next, I'll be on some morning show talking about it. No, but maybe Isaac will get there before me, or maybe even Jennifer. But that's your advantage, and it's right here.